No, that's not a deja vu. I decided to do a re-uploading of my original preview of the Kickstarter campaign of Skullduggery. The reason for that is they restarted their campaign as well. I think it was cancelled yesterday. It was only offline for 1 or 2 hours, and this time they made little tweaks about the pricing and so on. So in the meantime, as a non-US backer, you get the game including shipping for $50, and that's really the full game. So full printed book, the cards and such. They reduced the cards a little bit from what I understand from the, at least from the announcement yesterday, and they got rid of the game box as well, but okay, I think we all can live with that. The rest of my preview will be more or less the same, so if you already checked this out when I uploaded this a week ago or so, then you might not see any additional, new scenes, new items around that, but still check it out, and maybe when seeing this for the second time you really get out to Kickstarter and back it, and you really should do that. There are also some, I think it's a complete session they recorded in audio only, but still it gives you a great understanding of how Skullduggery actually works, so check that out. I think it's linked on the Kickstarter page as well. Yeah, then I think let's get started with my, or restart with my preview of Skullduggery, and then you go out and back this project. I have to mention again that Skullduggery right now only exists as a kind of a demo version. Good thing about this demo version is you can download it for free. So if you're not so sure how Skullduggery is playing out, what you get and whatever, to learn the rules, it's always possible to do so. But also keep in mind that the full game contains, or will contain, definitely loads of more and loads of additional components and cards of that. For example, in the final version of the game there will be more than just this one common element. In this demo game this is only the briefcase, and this is basically the core element or the core objective in this game in order to win it. There will be also different supernatural roles or characters in the final version of the game. But still, even the demo game already brings you 6 different characters with 6 or more, let's say, supernatural abilities or powers that you can use during the game. The demo version also brings you 6 different locations from the very start, which is already pretty good, so this allows you to play that at least up to 6 players. But also the final version will contain a lot more of these nice little locations which you can leverage or which you have to visit during the course of your game. This version also brings you some, let's say, predefined goals that you have to achieve. I think there are also 6 predefined goals in this game, so each player in a demo round will be able to have, let's say, a completely different approach on how to deal with a common item, which is in this demo version the briefcase. In order to play it, you more or less only need these elements. In this case, you need some pawns or meeples for the players. I will simulate a 3-player game in this video. And also you need some dice, and I just prepared a bag of those. Normally about 5 to 6 dice should be sufficient. Let's set up the game. First of all, each player draws a character, and this will be done at random because these special abilities are hidden to the other players, because it can help you go through a very difficult situation in the game or even to defend yourself. For example, the one special ability of the tank here is the invincible ability, and it says that he's impervious to all physical harm, but still he can be poisoned, drowned, suffocated. So whenever some other player in the game says, hey, I want to kill tank with a, or I killed tank with a gun, then he can flip go on this card. No, I'm invincible, you cannot harm me with your gun. Each player gets a secret goal, and also really important, this has to be kept secret. In this case it says, okay, obtain the briefcase, then open it and show its content on live television. Sounds pretty simple, can be pretty tough. Then each player will be the secret keeper of one location, exactly one location. In this case, this might be the slums for the tank character, And right now these slums do not have any traits on it, but still it's his location that he will be the secret keeper. And I will explain the secrets a little bit more in detail in a later stage of this video. Finally, each player gets a meeple of its color. Let's choose the green meeple for the tank in this case. So this will later on reflect where each character is during the course of the game. In a 3-player game there will be 3 locations. All the other locations will be put back into the box. They are not needed in this game. Now first thing we have to do is to move the common element, in this case being the briefcase, and we will deal it to one location. So we do that at random, so let's roll a die. So this is 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 5 to 6. So the briefcase will start at the slums. So whatever, I think maybe a rich businessman was driving through there looking for a good time in the slums, maybe whatever. So nevertheless, the briefcase will start at the slums. Next, you select the starting player. You can do that at random, for example, rolling a dice, using an up, whatever. And then in clockwise order, each player adds a trait to a location, to one location in this case. And so, for example, a trait is anything like an ability to that location. This can be more or less anything. That's really left to your imagination. For example, we could say the slums, there is a riot. In the laboratory, for example, there could be a fire. And let's say the office park has a charity event taking place. Really, this can be any trait, and remember, this trait should be able to help you during your gameplay to achieve your goal. So maybe this is already a good point to more or less look in the right direction and see how could a charity event, for example, help you reaching your goal. The same turn order location, each player chooses a starting location. This can be either location that's in place, and you can also start at a location with another player, but let's in this case assume that this will be the starting locations for our 3-player game here. So, how can you reach your goal now? That can be really, that's totally up to you. It's a game completely consisting of your imagination, how you plan things ahead, and of course, how the other players will let you reach that goal. There are several, let's say, formal actions that you can take during the game. There are first of all some free actions, and you can take these free actions more or less several times during your round. And a free action can be propose a new trait, like we did that here for the starting traits. Then you could move within the location. So for example, you are entering the slums at the starting point in time, and you can say, I go to the rotten supermarket. That's a movement within the location. This is normally free, and you can talk freely with others in that locations, for example other players. Then there are effective actions. For example, you could take a short action. That's normally considered an action that takes around 5 to 10 minutes. For example, walk into the supermarket looking for something and so on might be considered as a short action. Then there might be, let's say, take a character action, for example. And taking a character action is really something that has to be printed on your character sheet. For example, your unnatural strength or the invincible action, or I think the gatecrasher, for example, could use teleportation and this kind of stuff. This is also possible. Then there is a secret action. Secret actions are something I explain in a bit. So this is something you do really at secret, and only the secret keeper of that location knows what you're doing here. Then you can do a delay. And a delay is more or less a resting, so you do nothing during your turn, but this gets you prepared for your next turn, where you then could take, let's say, a long action, and this long action then could take longer than the normal short action. So the short action was set 5 to 10 minutes, whereas the long action could easily take an hour or so.
moving between locations, so for example from the slums to the laboratory, is normally considered as being a long action. So this is definitely something you have to prepare in advance with a delay action. Unlike a free action, you are only allowed to take one effective action during your round. Let's have a look at the short action. I think these are the most important elements in this game. So for example, the green player starts here at the slums, and we already know that there is a riot right now, so whatever, consider some gangsters, whatever, some guys are rioting through the streets, burning trash cans and so on. You get the picture here. And now he says, I want to take a short action, and you are not trying to do things, you really say you do these things. For example, during a riot, you say, I grab a torch from a fellow that's walking behind me and steal that torch from this guy. Now each other player could call for a reality check. And really you have to imagine that these actions should be considered normal for normal human beings. So it's the reality check does not say or does not count towards how likely it is that you will achieve to get this torch. It will only, let's say if it's possible at all for a normal human being. So brown player would say, I don't think that it's possible that you get the torch from this crowd here. Come on, that's not the medieval ages here. So he says, I want a reality check. Now the other players can go for a vote, and so if the vote is in favor of the action being possible, then the roll is not really needed. If the vote is not in favor for the guy who claimed for this action, then he has to do a real reality check, so more or less rolling a dice. And if the vote is anonymously against this, then it's not possible at all, this action. And this will also be the case for later tries or later scenarios in the game, that this special action is already considered to not be possible in this case. I think you should really play it fair, really considering, okay, really going, let's say, inside you and say, is it really possible, or do I just want to spoil the move of my fellow player here? Let's say the vote was not in favor. I think this was a bad example, but still, it could be possible that whatever the vote was not in favor for your action. In this case, the guy who claimed this action would roll 2 6-sided die, and if at least one die shows a 5 or a 6, then still he was able to get this torch from a bypasser. In this case, you add yourself a trait, and of course this is something you should maybe not keep it hidden, and you should not write it on your character card. Your character card, I think in most cases, will still be hidden, so you just take a piece of paper and say, has a torch, just that you don't forget that. If the roll was not successful, let's say he rolled a 4 and a 1, then he still would have the possibility to amend his action, to maybe rephrase his action, just to make it more realistic to the other players, that they say, oh, okay, in this case this would make sense. Or he could just say, I delay my action and whatever, think about that during the rest of my turn. In this case, he does not get the torch, of course. And that's why these traits can really be important. For example, if the same player would do this at the laboratory where there is a fire, and he could really say, hey, come on there, I have to find something that's on wooden, and there is a fire already, so I should be able to make myself a torch. In this case, it would be really tough for the other players to vote against that action. The same could go for the charity event here at the office park, where you say, I buy a cake from the charity event and whatever. And this is also, in some cases, normally you would something expect, at least here in Germany, that these charity events have some whatever guys who baked a cake or something like that, and this is being sold. So in this case, this is also very likely that you will succeed in getting this cake. Now you could ask, why do I want to have a torch? This could be all part of your master plan. Still, keep in mind, our secret goal was to say obtain the briefcase. I think this is more or less the same for everyone, but then we have to open it and show its content on live television. So one idea could be, with this torch I could burn something down. I would expect the fire department to show up. I would expect that the television will be up, and I will do that at the slums, for example. And then I will get in front of any camera and show the contents of the briefcase to the live television. In this case, I achieved my goal. I would show it to the other players and say, hey, I see, I got the briefcase, I have opened it, and I showed its contents on live television. The next player could do the same, for example. So for example, player B has this goal here to say, fill the briefcase with explosive, detonate it in a location with no witnesses, and see it destroyed. In this case, also, the fire trait of this laboratory might be of use, because you could say, yeah, because of the fire, everyone left the building, whatever, an hour later there will be no more witnesses, everyone went home, so I don't have any witnesses, so I can explode the briefcase at the laboratory. The same importance have the character abilities, like for the gatecrasher here. He has this snatch ability where he says can teleport any handheld, non-living, free-resting object to himself. This could either be the briefcase, if he really wants to have the briefcase at the office park, for example, where he currently is. Or he could say he would teleport a gun that was laying somewhere. Or because of the fire at the laboratory, he's pretty sure that there should be an axe somewhere from the firefighters, so he would teleport this axe to his personal possession. Also then, he would say whatever as a trait has axe, and this axe can be used during any later turn. Let's have a final look at the secret actions and the secret keeper here. For example, if some player like the red player here wants to do something secretly in the office park that he really wants to prepare in private and not showing to all the other players. Still keep in mind, he has to show that to the secret keeper of that location, and you are not allowed to take a secret action at a location where you are the secret keeper yourself. In this case, the player would write what he's doing on a small piece of paper, whatever, breaking into the office building. Sorry, my bad writing here. And he will pass that to the secret keeper. The secret keeper will look at what you have written, and he could call for a reality check, and he's the only person who calls for a reality check, and then you directly have to roll your die, because no one else will have to see the secret action, so there will be no vote or whatsoever, and the secret keeper could also permanently state this action impossible. But again, try to keep it realistic. It's not how likely it is that it happens. He only has to think about if it's possible at all. Next, you can prepare the secret action or so below the location or put it aside. But it has to be important because the secret action is then valid for the course of the game. So if you say, within the office building, I'm whatever, make a photocopy from this contract or whatsoever, then someone could say, no, 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 you are not in the within the office. There's no, let's say, copy machine in front of the office. Then he said, no, 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 I had a secret action at the office park where I said I would break into the session, and then the secret keeper just says, yes, that's true. This is valid, so he can go in there. So there would be more or less relatively unlikely that there will be a reality check for this second action here. One last thing to, I think, mention would be a conflict. A conflict normally arises when you more or less directly engage another player. In this case, for example, red player could say, I killed brown with my baseball bat that I have found early on, and he's now lying dead on the street with a whatever broken skull. Then the player who will be affected, in this case the brown player, in most cases will say, I would call for a conflict. Again, there will be a voting, and this time the voting is a little bit different because you are more or less searching for advantages. And this time I will really show you the table, and it really says if the advantage is on your side, so the actor has an advantage, then he would roll, I think it's 5 6-sided dice, right? And each 1, 2, 3 or 4 would be a success for the actor. If he is an advantage on a tie, that would be 1 to 3 and a 4 to 6 for the opponent, and so on. And the same could go for a dominant. So for example, if everyone says, oh yeah, that's realistic, he will kill you, then the actor, for example, will be dominant. In this case, he would win this roll on a roll from 1 to 5. And in this case, let me just do that. As mentioned, you would roll 5 6-sided dice normally, and then you just count the successes. So let's say the actor had an advantage, so all 1, 2, 3 and 4s are successes. In this case, this would be these, so the actor would have 4 successes in this case, and the opponent only 1. So definitely he was successful, so he killed the other player. The character is out, and in the full game later on there will be a possibility to start with some, let's say, a new character. This will be not a character with a supernatural power, but still someone with some real influence, like a rock star, a manager, whatever. And then he could pursue still his goal. This would be also the right time, for example, to flip over your character ability like this invincible. For example, if Brown would be the tank in this case, he could say, no, I don't think so, I'm invincible, with your baseball bat you can do me no harm. I hope this quick run through gave you a small introduction into how the gameplay works. There's also a pretty good demonstration video on the Kickstarter page, so I'd really encourage you to look out for that. It's, I think, a little bit more in detail, and their components look a little bit nicer than mine, so I had to print them myself. But still, I wanted to give a short overview of how this Skullduggery game here works, because I think it's really excellent. It's an absolutely innovative game design. It's really completely open. It's combines some parts of role-playing game, but still there are not really too many rolls you have to, or dice you have to roll. Sometimes you have to do that during the reality check, but in I think really most cases your action will just go through, so there are no real skills you have to roll against, whatever your strength, your ability, dexterity, whatever you call that. You just say, I grab this car that's parked outside of this office building and I will drive over to the laboratory, for example. So you still have some days to back it. I think it's over 20 days. Right now we are around 18 to 20%, I think. So I really encourage you, reach out to Kickstarter, go there, back it. And really, I think you will enjoy this game a lot. Yeah, hope you enjoyed it and hope to see you soon in one of my next videos. I'm promising to get on with my playthrough of Stronghold pretty soon, so look out for the next episode for that. Until then, bye bye!